and he said rectum damn near killed him. And we're live. Test to see how well I heard of the music with the microphone on. Welcome to Evolutionary Theology. I'm Lloyd, my co-host. I'm always trying to over. Another song by Timothy Charles, guitar and musician extraordinaire, producer extraordinaire. This was written years ago, working on this track every day. I just wanted to premiere this. All right, so I don't know if you could hear me over the music, but I was trying to say stuff to see if I could be heard. I'm using a microphone this time because my voice has been, I'm a low talker, so I don't talk very loud, and it's tough for me to project my voice, so I'm using a, whoa. Just checking out the YouTube. It doesn't look like the full screen is being projected. It shows it on OBS. But my YouTube only has Ed's picture. The video is smooth. Oh man, what is going on?
Are we having problems?
Yeah, my YouTube preview page is showing. I only see you on the picture, like.
Well, that's bizarre.
But on the streaming software, it shows that we're both on there, so I don't know what to believe. Because you know these the way these things go, it's hard to tell. But let me. I'm gonna pull up YouTube on my phone and see what's showing, and we can hopefully get the show rolling after that. If you know if it looks good. Hopefully the microphone is doing well.
I can hear you perfectly.
Good. That's great. Let's see. Live. Let's tap on this, and so it's currently showing both our pictures that I see. I don't know if it started at the beginning or what, but it just says it's live, and I see, and we'll see if we have any chatters coming in. Also, I don't know how to post a link to Discord to add on a guest, but I'll have to figure that out at some point. Hopefully, someone, will join us at some point in the future that might be somewhat important. That would be nice. But so my guest is Ed Penny. His book is Modema Madness. His new website is edpenny.com, is that right?
EdwardPenny.com.
Edwardpenny.com. And you can find out.
EdPenny.com's taken. EdPenny.com's taken, so I'm EdwardPenny.com.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, we run into those issues with domain names all the time. But yeah. Our topic today is the narrative. So what do I mean by narrative? That's the message that comes across from the media, the I guess what is shown to people.
It's basically the story we're fed by the media, isn't it? It's a story. And with the story, there's a storyteller, there's a person who wrote the story, and there's people who act in the story. So the whole thing's like scripted.
Yeah. So we get these issues that come up that, like the abortion thing that was supposedly a leaked document, but come to find out, that's the left just needs something on their side because they feel like they can pull more votes if they have one. I don't really want to get too political, but but two of the
Are
main.
you, are you political, Tommy?
I'm not a political person. I know it's very politicism is a very divisive topic, and it's like we're split down the middle, 50-50 is pretty much as far as um, liberals and conservatives. So I will go ahead and say that I I value life, although I think there's circumstances where it may not be the right opportunity at the time. So I believe in choice. I respect life, but I believe in choice, and I'm kind of riding the fence there. I know, but that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yes,
But
I understand where you're coming from.
one of the things that hits us both is um, because we're of a progressive toward a sort of orientation sexually. So they're saying that this new monkeypox thing that everybody's talking about, um, they were trying to say it's just close contact transmission here in the U.S., but you had a different story over there where what
Well,
did you
it's
say?
supposed to be sexually transmitted. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, they're trying to kind of hide that up over here, like they're uh, it seems like, and it's specifically what kind of sex, right? Specifically, what kind of sex is it?
Well, it's been affecting gay people more than straight people.
Exactly. Yeah. So
But that's just because gay people sleep with gay people, so it's going to be stuck in that narrow community.
yeah, there's so many factors that could play into that.
Mm.
But still, like, are what are are we going to have more restrictions because Africa is saying that this is something different that's come about that's because it's not confined to Africa, which it always was before.
Well,
But now
I've
so
heard that the monkeypox is very easy to treat.
it's what?
Very easy to treat.
Oh, well, I hope so, and we should all
I
be
don't.
already vaccinated for it if it's a variant of smallpox, because we've all had the smallpox vaccine, or at least I did when I was a baby or whatever. Most of us did, but um, will we see more restrictions or another pandemic, or was this even planned? Like, is, is the information about it coming out that has been sought after to kind of create havoc, and is that the circumstance with all information that we get that's dire, so we get all this information that's dire, and is that because the population is trying to be, or is they're attempting to guide the population or herd them in such a way that we act or behave or buy certain things or use certain products and buy in. That's what I'm talking about, buying into the narrative. Like, and so if we have another pandemic, is it going to end up like the COVID virus? Like, so the narrative of the COVID virus is that if you don't get a vaccine, then you're a bad person and you don't care about others and you're a horrible citizen if you don't get a vaccine because you're not doing your part. But you know what they found
What?
out? The numbers say that the blue states with higher vaccine rates actually have higher COVID rates, higher transmission rates, higher reinfection rates, and higher morbidity rates. So, where is the real info? I mean, if we're being fed this narrative that you're a bad person if you don't get a vaccine, yet all these people are getting even more sick if they have the vaccine, what is the truth? The truth is that that's a narrative. And where do we look
Yes,
for truth? We got to
but
look.
there are alternative narratives that run counter to the main narrative that we receive. There's always alternative narratives from a different perspective.
There is, and that's what I'm trying to present. And
Mm.
um, no, I generally listen to conservative talk radio. There's a station here if you're into that sort of thing, or even if you're a liberal, try and check this information out. But if you have iHeartRadio, it's 94.5 WPTI, Piedmont Tribe International, I guess is what that would stand for. But it's some very thought provoking and informative information throughout the day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekly. And I just I would like to personally endorse that because I feel that they tell the truth and that everything else on the liberal media side is uh, sort of a herding type, trying to make everybody poor so that we'll rely on the government and be subject to the government, and there will be no personal ownings or holdings of any sort, personal property. It'll all be just government handouts, basically. So, do we want to rely on the government, or do we want to live in a capitalist society where our efforts uh, determine where we end up in life? So my efforts as far as career goes, I've tried, I've run into some obstacles, and it hasn't worked out for me, but I've tried. But maybe that's not what I'm supposed to do. I'm doing this broadcasting thing now, and I've got my show weekly, and that's what I want to do. I got my TikTok videos, and I am the Child of Ra, also on Instagram, and so I'm trying to get my name and my face, my voice out there as far as what can educate people onto where to find truth, and I think that's through evolutionary theology. And I guess I'll have you respond now. What do you think there's any future for the pandemic status of monkeypox, and where do you think the vaccines stand as far as efficacy and their actual working in reality?
Well, I don't think this monkeypox thing is going to be all that serious because apparently it's very easy to treat and it's easy to control the spread from people to people. You just have to be careful and like wash your hands and stuff. So I'm not at all worried about it, not at all.
And
Although I was worried about COVID and still am to an extent. So monkeypox, I'm not losing any sleep over it. I'm not bothered about it.
I'm not either.
If a vaccine comes out, I'll take it.
You
If a vaccine
would.
comes out, I'll take it. But until then, I'm not gonna. It's not gonna change anything in my life.
Well, let's get back to the vaccines part then, because I was just saying that vaccines are making people more sick and more susceptible to the virus and easily transmittable, and they're dying more often when they get the virus. So these are the actual numbers
Well, I'm not a public health expert, Tommy. I'm not a public health expert. I don't, and neither are you. So I don't think. I think we need to defer to other people.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not with the WHO, the World Health Organization, the big WHO.
But of course, the people have to be in control. It has to be run by the people. But the people need to listen to the experts, in my opinion.
Yeah, but
And the
the
experts
experts.
can guide and inform the people, but the people have to make their own decisions. It's got to be a personal choice issue.
Yeah,
But people should listen to the experts. That's how I see things.
but which information from which experts do we receive, and is it the powers that be that tell us what information they want to use for us to understand and believe the
I don't think
truth?
the powers that be are necessarily sinister. I mean, I think the powers that be are sinister in many ways, but I think they've got an interest in everyone not dying of COVID, and because they have to be re-elected. So if they mess up the whole COVID situation, that will damage their chances of being re-elected.
Well, I think that's most likely why we're going to be seeing a red wave coming up because it seems like a bunch of failure after failure. But you're in the Labor Party, right? So you're all for socialism. I'm more of a capitalist.
I'm more of a centre ground actually, because the Labour Party it's left wing, but it stretches towards the political centre too. And in this country, I don't know about the situation in your country. If you want to win an election, you have to win the centre ground because most people are in the centre. And what the Labour Party does is they select left wing leaders who are great people, great policies, but they ain't going to get elected. So we need a centrist figure in the Labour Party. That's my opinion. If we're to win re-election,
I agree because extreme one way or the other is not desirable in my eyes, and I think that we
yeah,
should all
got
come to
to.
agreements as far as what should be the mediocre or middle ground, center, like you say.
Well, I'm a centrist, but I believe in socialism to an extent, and but I'm a democratic socialist. I believe in democracy of people, and I'd never want to trample on anyone's freedoms. And people say, do you want a big state? Do you want a little state? And I think a medium state. Let's be pragmatic. A state that's as big as it needs to
Yeah,
be. If a state needs to be big, then yeah, make it big. If it's better it being small, make it small. But let's not get attached to big state, little state, and fetishize either one of them. Because if you
that's
ask me, are you in favour of big government or little government? I'd say the size of government that is best for the people.
that's true. It can vary region by region, but I would want less. Well, there's a balance. I think, like you're saying, there's a center, there a middle ground. Like we need control, but we don't want to be too controlled. We need some freedoms, but we can't be
Absolutely.
free to do anything. We have laws in place to guide our behaviors, and hopefully those are mostly morally attached. So majority of people actually abide by those laws without even having to know them. But there's a level of control that the government has to exert, and there's a level of subjectivity yet freedom that the people have to exert, and it's an ongoing process, a tug of war as to who has more control, and that's I think we're coming up upon a time in history now where people are realizing that some of the decisions that are being made are not the best because we're
Mm,
seeing data come out that proves otherwise as to the methods that were taken, and
mm,
so I'll I want to let's see. I kind of want to stop this political rant because I it's very polarizing, and I know everybody has very stringent beliefs of their own on it, like whether they want to wear a mask or not. I will not wear a mask I'm forced to in a hospital, and even then, I don't want to. I don't care to. I think masks don't even work. They're stupid, and they restrict the learning of children from watching people's mouths moves when they talk, and you can't see people's facial expressions, and it hinders our communication abilities from human to human, and it also restricts breathing and oxygen levels in the body. Um, so I don't think it does really any good whatsoever, and I think it's just a joke that they made everybody wear masks. Or hospital, okay, yeah, maybe if you're in the operating room or visiting a patient, yeah, but it's don't play into the narrative. That's my main point from this first half of the show.
Do you know what I think, Tommy?
What's that?
We can defy the narrative, we can put down the script, and we can start ad-libbing and improvising, and we can make our own narrative.
Well,
we can become the stars of our narrative as well. We don't need to pick anyone else's up. We ignore what they're saying. We turn off the TV. We close the windows on the internet. We turn off the radio. We have a think, and then we decide what we want to do. And I think it's as easy as that, Tommy. Just ignore, because I used to call, when I was in the psychiatric hospital many years ago, I came for the name for the TV. I called the TV the old brainwasher, and it does just
exactly.
that. If you want free thought, don't turn on the TV. Think for yourself. But where do you get news from? And I struggle to find a decent news source that I can trust. I mean, I use news sources whose politics I disagree with, because I get most of our news from the Daily Mail, and the Daily Mail is a very right wing newspaper in the UK. And I'm not very right wing, but I can see through its bias, and I can get the information from it, and I don't pay into its narrative.
Well, yeah, I agree with you what you're saying, and we have to pick and choose from our news sources, and we need to find truth and what is most representative of actual reality, and that's hard to decipher with how many choices there are, and whether you're liberal or conservative. There's extreme parts of the parties that you're a party to, and like you said, we should be more centered and not extreme one way or the other. We should come to an agreement.
And there's a saying, Tommy. It's from journalism. If one person tells you it's raining outside, and the other person tells you that it's sunny, you don't treat those opinions as equal. You open the window and have a look at the weather yourself. And I think that's very wise.
That is very wise. Yes, very wise indeed.
And but it's impossible, because our whole view of the world is mediated through the media. I mean, that's why it's called the media, because it mediates it. We can't directly know stuff, and there's always going to be bias. There's always going to be corruption involved.
Well,
and
not necessarily. Also, and there's different periods of time and different perceptions that people can have. So, say two people are coming over to your house, and one walks in when there's a thundercloud passing over, and he or she or they get a little bit of rain on them, and they consider that a lot of rain because they spend a lot of time getting dressed and fixing their hair and their whatever. So just a few drops of rain is a lot of rain to them, and then they walk inside, and then the cloud passes over, and the second guest arrives, and the sun has come out from behind the clouds. They have two different stories, but that's only because they experience two different times of the period.
that's why we need the weather programs on the news.
Yeah. Well, weather people are the most accurate predictors of all because they give percentages, and when it
Yeah, I think one media narrative we can trust is the weather forecast. I think that's free from bias and corruption.
I believe so. Yes, I agree with that 100%.
We can trust the sport as well. It's just the current affairs we can't cope with. That's a problem.
Yeah. So let's move on from the current affairs into our next topic, which is artificial intelligence, or the future of information technology. And I've got a few examples here um, of the future of AI. We've got Sophia from Hanson Robotics. We've got the robotic dog from Boston Dynamics, and we've got now from Tesla a humanoid robot called Optimus that Elon Musk's company is building and is soon to be probably mass produced and very prominent in society. And so he's been talking for so long about how um, artificial intelligence or the next stage of machine intelligence is an existential threat, and then we need to worry about it. And then it's like nobody's paying attention to him, so it's like, okay, I'm going to build robots for myself then, and I'm going to make them safe. And he is dedicated to making them safe. So like they're not very strong; they can only run so fast. So you can overpower them and outrun them. Although the question is, can you outthink them? And that's the big question. Can you outthink a robot? In the future, that's going to be a nil. Artificial intelligence is or a machine intel. I hate to call it artificial because it's a real thing. It's the next level of intelligence that we're dealing with, and the real intelligence that's going to be coming about is going to be trillions of times more intelligent than a human being, even than all the human beings on Earth combined. And so Sophia is advancing. The robot dog is advancing. It can cover any terrain. They've got robots that can walk and hop around and dance. And now we've got Optimus that can go shopping. It's really coming about quickly. And I'll say again that Ray Kurzweil has mentioned AGI or artificial general intelligence coming about in about the year 2029. So that's less than 7 years away. Or no, less than 8 years away. It's about 7 years away. So um, already halfway through this year. But anyway, um, uh, how do you feel about the current state of AI and where it's going in the next 10 years?
I don't know about the next 10 years, but I don't think it's that impressive actually. So if you look at the YouTube algorithms, the Netflix algorithms, it's clever, yeah, but it's not very mind blowing. And have you seen about that computer that played? There's a Chinese game. I think it's called Go, and this AI it figured out a trick that's never occurred to any human, and it played that trick, and it kept winning by playing that trick. So I think AI is getting better and better, but it's not near a general AI. And because I define a general AI as having a mind as opposed to a programming. And I'd love to say artificial intelligence, like an artificial mind, as opposed to just a program, like a mind that can just take things on and learn stuff. I mean, I think that'd be very exciting. But we need to regulate it, and it needs to be put because science and technology are only as good as they are ethically good, and we need to do it ethically, and we need to be careful, and we need to be cautious too.
Very much so. Yeah, I
But
agree with that.
I think it's exciting, and I think it'd be good for us, but we need to do it properly.
Yeah, and there's
And
there's many examples of artificial intelligence coming up with uh, unique or examples of a problem solving that a human may not have thought of or that thought that a computer would do. Like there was a computer that was an AI program or an algorithm that was designed to try and come up with a new method of making an oscillator. And instead of a design for an oscillator, it turned the computer itself that it was the program was residing in or running on into an oscillator itself. So instead of coming up with a design for one, it just made itself into one. So there, that's exactly my point as far as where technology can go, and there's very novel ideas that humans don't generally think of, or it takes us longer to think of them. And these algorithms that are coming into play today, not just the TV watching or movie watching or Facebook or anything like that, but they are quite in depth. But what's more disconcerting is those that are designed to come up with new ideas and be integrated into. I guess I'm just saying that every day we have to deal with something becoming more advanced because the advancement of artificial or information technology is exponential. It's not just an exponential advancement. No, it's it the advancement is exponential. So if it goes twice as fast one year, it's going to go 4 times as fast the next year. You see what I'm saying? Like the advancement is exponential. So that's why we cannot escape that. We're in a non-escape velocity from the technology, which is already becoming more and more solidified in our daily living, and is soon to be very much a substrate of the society we live in, and how we experience things, especially in the West. Um, but yeah, technology is definitely advancing. But that technology, and here's the third subject: why is there so much false information in the world? So we have an example that Elon Musk is trying to take over Twitter, and or purchase it, for a price, and he wants them to prove, like they say, that less than 5% of their accounts are fake or bots or whatever. But because he believes or he feels that more than 20% of them are fake bot accounts. So they're hesitant, but he demands that if they want the purchase to go through. So everybody keep an eye on that, whether see how much fake information is coming out of Twitter. And I think that's going to carry over to all the rest of the platforms. You heard it here, folks. First, you heard it first here, folks. All platforms have at least a 20% fake account rate. So yes, I said that. I've experienced that. There's so many fakers out there that want to just tell you lies and make you believe things that are not true, and you cannot take things at face value from anything you hear on the internet. You need to make sure that you have someone prove themselves. You can't just say, "Oh, prove yourself," and they're like, "Oh, but such and such a thing is true," and then say, "Oh, okay, you don't have to prove yourself. I'll just believe you." No, that's a scammer. And you need to watch out for these people that are telling you lies on the internet, and don't click on anything unless you know it's 100% true, because uh, I get emails all the time where they're less and less now because I've been responding to them, because I think when I respond to them, I think it goes to the account owner, not the hacker, or the hacker too, but the account owner, I believe, receives it as well. So I'm trying to let these people know through replies that their emails are fake. And I get things like, "Your shipment is on the way," or "Your account is restricted," or uh, "Your purchase of such and such an item is delayed," because it's unless you actually have a recollection of ordering. If you order something and you get an email about that thing, that's most likely the truth if it comes from the legitimate website. You also have to, when emails display uh, a button that says who it's from, but it's not necessarily who it's from, because those can be misleading. But if you tap on that and see where it came from, you'll see most likely if it's a fake email and you got it from Costco or Amazon or whatever supply store that you may have, that might be possible to order from. it's it'll show you it's the website is not coming from there. It's some random off the cuff type website that and you just need to reply to those and say, hey, check your security. I got this email. One of them said my PayPal account was unsecure, and it was sent to 100 recipients in the same email. So that's they can't send the same financial information email to 100 recipients. And I've got that multiple times. It's just fraud. So that's I'll bring the third um, topic to a close, and I'll ask if you have any closing remarks, Ed, on any of the topics or the last topic. How can we round out the show to make it to bring it all together?
Well, we need to think about AI. We need to give it a lot of thought, and we need to give the nature of the media a lot of thought too. We need to see it for what it is, and when we understand it, we can see through it, and we can come to a better understanding of the true situation. So I think keep your eyes open, stay vigilant, and don't believe it all. Check it out, and we can make our own narratives. We don't need to use anyone else's.
Yeah, and we have the power of communication now, like this forum that this platform that you and I are using, the Discord and the YouTube and the OBS software streaming program, to where we can share what we feel, and hopefully we can get an audience. That's what we hope, so that we can get more people on our side as far as truth goes, and watching out for the things that are coming in the next, less than a decade. So we want to watch out for lies from the media or misguidance, and we want to watch out for lies from the populace, the population who are trying to trick us into giving them our money or financial information where they can steal from us. Oh, and also we want to watch out for the coming age of AI, the machine intelligence, the information technology that's exponentially advancing. And this is probably, like you said, Ed, the most important aspect of what we cover today is the coming age of machine intelligence, and that is we're just gonna have to wait and see. There's a lot of different opinions on what will happen, whether it'll be good or bad. There's Luddites and there's uh, technophiles, I guess you would call them. So just like liberals and conservatives, it's divided. But I think probably where we're going with the younger generation is probably more towards technology, and it's going to become. Uh huh.
I think there's another angle we can look at too, because you and I both believe in simulation theory. And that means if you believe in that, then you believe that we're all AI. So I think the fact that we're in a simulation is proof that general artificial intelligence and artificial consciousness are possible. Because we're here, we're artificial consciousness, we're AI, so surely we can make it ourselves. That's I think one perspective, Tommy, that I think is worth looking from when it comes to the AI issue, the simulation theory angle.
That is a very important point, because when you take into account the facts of evolutionary theology, and the existence of the simulation and the points of our quantum physics that represent the fundamentals of the existence of the consciousness of reality, you have to take into account that we are artificial intelligence, and that's what we are. But that gives us a hope for the future, in that since we are not completely biological, we're a biological representation of something, an algorithm that we can actually pass on to the next realm. And I think that since we have that existence as an art as a machine entity, ultimately, fundamentally, that gives us the ability to pass on into the next realm. And that's not only by why I believe it, but I think that gives hope for the future and a belief in heaven of sorts that we might have some sort of future existence after we leave this realm, this earth. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think we've had a great show, Ed. Thanks for joining
Yes,
me.
I've enjoyed it. It's my pleasure. Pleasure.
Yeah, and we will hopefully see you next week. I took a week off to catch up with a friend, and that went well. Had a nice dinner, nice seat at the park, and watched some, ducks and stuff, swans, and the water flowing, and the winds, leaves blowing in the trees. It was very nice and calming and relaxing. And everybody should take the time to meditate every once in a while. And so I'm going to lead us out now with Timothy Eason's track one on the T.C. Eason album, track one. And it didn't happen. There we go. All right. Thank you for joining us. Tommy Wood, Evolutionary Theology. My co-host Ed Penny at edwardpenny.com. And you can get his book, Mind of a Madness, on Amazon. Like, follow, share. Find us on, you need to start up an Instagram, TikTok or something like that. I am just having rough. Find me there on TikTok. So check me out. I do some dancing and stuff. Thank you for joining us. Have a great week.
Are we off air?
Not quite yet.
Oh, we're still on. We're still on.
Wait for the song to finish up. And
Okay.
there it goes. All right, the song's over now. Oh yeah, we got to end stream. Okay, here we go. And, end stream here. End stream here. Stops.